Ching with HustlePaintball.com, and today I'm going to show you how to put an electronic trigger into your Tippmann US Army Alpha Black. Now, I'm doing the install on an Alpha Black Tactical minus the stock, but the basic principles apply to both the Alpha Black, the Bravo 1, and the Tactical. So, as you can see in front of me, there's an assortment of tools. We're looking at a punch. You'll need one of these, along with your hammer, and your medium hex key and your small hex key. So let's get started by taking off the receiver half. As you can see here, I've removed all the body screws, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull this receiver half right off. Now, if you're unfamiliar with taking apart an Alpha Black Tactical, we do a full review on it, and it will teach you everything you need to know about taking it apart. So, I'm going to go ahead and remove that. The shroud should come off as well, and the magazine too. Okay, so we're stripped down to the basics. If you look into the trigger frame, there's all these preset areas. That's where the electronic trigger is actually going to go. So grab your electronic trigger kit and break that open. Here's everything that should have come with your e-trigger kit. This is your solenoid, your capacitor, the board, the micro switch, your armature pin, the sear spring, a magnet, and of course your sear. So I'm going to pull this all out of the way. So let's move our receiver plate back in. And as you can see, these scored areas give you a general map as to where your e-trigger should fit. Now let's grab our solenoid, board, capacitor, and micro switch assembly. I'm going to show you something with the solenoid. The back piece of the solenoid actually comes off. Now this isn't too important except for its orientation. You want that side to be down. Next, the capacitor comes right next to the solenoid, and this board fits tightly into the space, perpendicular to the trigger frame. The micro switch, as you can see, has two little holes. Those fit on these two holes right here. They might be a little hard to get in, but once you do, it stays in place. Now the reason I know it's in the right position is when I pull the trigger, it clicks down on my micro switch. The next step is to remove your sear and your sear spring. Now be careful with that spring because it is compressed and could fly off somewhere, and you always want to keep your stock parts. So I'm going to real carefully push on that, pull it out, and then your sear should come off easily. Now don't lose that pin that's in the middle. Now grab your new sear and make sure that the orientation is right. I'm going to pull this forward a little so you can see. Goes right where the old sear was. Grab your new sear spring. As you can see, it's a lot longer and it's a lot thinner than the original sear spring. It's going to be a little harder to compress into that space, but you want to push it against the sear first and real carefully push it into place. Now before you let go, make sure it doesn't fly off because we've done a couple takes and it's gone everywhere. Okay. Lastly, you're going to take your armature pin and push the back of the solenoid out a little and place it in its pre-marked grooves. One last piece, and it's the magnet. Now you can see it has this green sticker on both sides. Make sure you keep that on because you don't want metal rubbing on metal. This will save you. So there is a small groove just below the solenoid where this magnet actually fits into. And what that does is just holds that armature open. You're done with the right side of the receiver. Now let's move on to the left side. I've gone ahead and taken these bolts out of the grip and the trigger frame, and I'm just going to take this grip right off. Now, there's something you need to do to the grip first, so let me move the receiver half. We're going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see some of the cutouts that are in here. As you can see, there's two tiny ones here on the side, and what I need to do is basically cut away the rubber that attaches it so that when it is put back on the trigger frame, there's a hole. Grab a razor or an X-Acto knife would probably work better for this, but you just want to start and cut it up. Should be pretty easy to cut through because it's only rubber. I'm going to go ahead and just pull that right off. So now there's these two little cuts on the sides of your grip. Put that aside for now.